Hey everybody, welcome on board to this amazing conversation. Trusting you're doing great wherever you are. My name is Oliver Nshom, and today we're going to be looking at some soft skills that every speaker need to acquire. Soft skills that every beginning speaker or beginner speaker need to get in order to become unforgettable on stage. Okay, so you're welcome everybody. You are welcome. You are all welcome. Welcome everybody. Welcome everybody. So, what are the soft skills that every speaker need to develop, especially the beginner speakers, that they need to develop in order to become compelling, in order to become outstanding in their professional speaking careers? What are the soft skills? So the first soft skill I want to talk about here is listening. Listening is a skill that not everybody has it. So as a speaker, especially as a beginner speaker, you have to train yourself to be able to listen. That's so important because public speaking is over 65% listening than talking. Now I'll explain. As a speaker, before you prepare for your talk, for your keynote, right, for your corporate session with those professionals, you have to probably do some research. You have to be studying, you have to be reading, you have to be listening to best practices, listening to coaches, to mentors, listening to experts on different topics, on different perspectives on YouTube, from different channels, from different media platforms. That is listening. Even when you're reading, you have to listen to what you are reading. You see, when you're having a coaching session with your mentor, with your coach, you have to listen, because if you don't listen, you will not get what he or she is saying. So if you lack this one skill of listening as a speaker, especially as a beginner speaker, I want to let you know you will have it difficult in the speaking industry. So if you want to rise to the top as a speaker, as a beginner speaker, you have to learn how to listen. Learn even how to listen to yourself. You have to learn to listen to yourself. We don't only listen to others, but we also need to listen to ourselves. Especially as a man of faith, but like myself, most of the times when you're in prayers, when I'm in prayers, I'll have to at a certain point pause and listen. I just maintain some stillness, some quietness, some calmness to listen. What is the Holy Spirit saying? At times when I'm doing my personal retreat and personal reflection, at times I just listen to myself. At times I just stay quiet. I stay still and listen to myself. What am I saying to myself? Because I speak to myself. And most of the time I speak to myself, not necessarily vocally, but just listening to myself. So as a speaker, those are the moments that distinguish you from any other out there in the speaking industry. So the question is, do you often listen to yourself? Do you often listen to yourself? Do you often listen and give yourself undivided attention when your coaches and mentors, when you're listening to a YouTube video, when you're reading a comment on LinkedIn, when you're reading a post on LinkedIn, when you're reading a book? Do you always listen? Do you always train yourself? And again, most of it is for some people like us, that we suffer from ADHD, attention deficit hyperactive disorder. This is a category of people that listening is a tough task, man. And so when you realize that you have issues with attentions, you need to be more intentional in training yourself to be able to listen. Because as a speaker, be it a beginner speaker, an established speaker, especially for beginner speakers or aspiring speakers, if you don't train yourself to be able to listen, listening to yourself, listening to others, listening to the environment, I bet you might not become that kind of speaker you want to become. But if you can train yourself to be able to listen, you become very good. Why? Because when you listen, you learn. When you learn, you know. When you know, you can teach, you can train, you can speak on. Right. And when you can speak on what you know and people feel the impact, the transformation in your life, I bet you that's when lives are being transformed. And when lives are transformed, the world becomes a better place. And you know where it started? From you. And that was because you were able to listen. So from today, listen to yourself, listen to the environment, listen to nature, listen to other speakers, listen to other videos on YouTube, listen to what you read, listen all the time. Listen to your friends, listen to your colleague, listen to your supervisors, listen to your employer. Listen, because there is strength in listening. And so that's it for the first skill. I want to discuss 3. So the second soft skill that you need as a speaker is your ability to learn. So people are like, is learning a soft skill or a hard skill or none of the above? Learning is a skill. There are some people who don't know how to learn. So learning is a soft skill that you can develop, you can build it. And there are 2 ways you can learn. The first is you learn from others. You learn from others. You can learn by reading a book. You can learn by reading a book. You can learn by listening to a YouTube video, to a LinkedIn post. You can learn by focusing on what others have done or others' work. You can learn from it, right? And that is an amazing and a very fascinating way to learn. It is quite amazing and fascinating to learn that way. On the other hand, one of the best ways to learn is to learn by your personal life circumstances. And experience the national speakers of America, there's always this saying that the experience you don't share is aborted. And it is a disappointment to the experience. Right? So it is in the same way, the lessons that you've learned from your circumstances of life that you don't share is a disappointment to the circumstances and to you as a whole. So what am I saying? What I'm saying is that you can learn from anything that happens to you, be it good or bad. You can always learn from it. So if I was you, you know what? I'm going to start learning from today, and I'm going to train myself to be able to question myself all the time. Question myself all the time. Why is this happening to me now? Why did that happen to me? What lessons can I learn from this? What lessons can I draw from this experience? And when you start asking yourself such questions, I bet you will be one of the fastest learners ever. Right? So remember, I said you don't only learn from the books you read, don't only learn from what you listen as videos or what others are saying in conferences and workshops. You also learn a lot from the things that happen to you. So be it positive or negative, you can always learn from it. And somebody says that in anything that happens to you negatively, there is always an equal but opposite positive part of it. Oh, did you get that? Anything that happened to you negatively, there is always an equal but opposite positive good to that thing. And so what that means is that if you are able to question everything that happens to you negatively, why now? Why me? You always end up with an equal positive counterpart to anything that happens to you negative. That's good news, right? Yeah. So what that means is that if your house got burned, there's always an equal opportunity and opposite, which is good something that you can leverage on from that bad experience to do something great and great and great and powerful. Right. So if you've fallen off in a relationship, there's always an equal but opposite way you can look at it. All right. So if you're currently going through some pains and challenges in life, be it whatever, there's always an equal but opposite gain that you can get from that experience. If only you are able to cushion yourself and you listen to yourself and learn from that circumstances. And by the way, there is nothing like failing. You only fail when you're making progress. Somebody who is still can never fail. You cannot stand in one place and fall. You always fall most of the time. You're trying to move most of the time. I remember when my first daughter was learning how to wear. I can't count the number of times she failed. She fell down when she was trying to wear, and finally she worked. So what does that mean to you? It means that you have to learn not to take no's when you fall down for an excuse or for an answer. Always learn to get up, back, and work. And Les Branks put it this way. This is very interesting and exciting. Les Branks say, when you fall down, make sure you fall on your back, because if you can look up, you can rise up. So when you're failing or falling down, make sure you don't fall on your belly, but make sure you fall on your back, because if you can look up, you can rise up. And that is taking me to my last point on how to build soft skills as a beginner speaker. So the next soft skill you have to build, it is a must, is your networking skills. Your networking skill. I would strongly advise that as a speaker, as a beginner speaker, do everything possible to go to meetings, especially public speaking meetings. Do everything possible to go to meetings, especially public speaking meetings, Toastmaster meetings that have to do with people talking. That has to do with you attending church services if you're Christian, or attending, going to the mosque to pray if you're Muslim, or going to where somebody's going to talk, because you're going to learn a lot from the people talking, and you're going to be able to observe a lot from what they're doing, especially for those who are good in communication. So your ability to network, you can go to events, and it takes just one person. You got to meet that person. Just one person you can meet that can change your career, change your life, change everything about you. Had it been if you did not go to that meeting, you may never meet that person. Have you ever thought about that? So go for networking meetings, and there are some 3 things you need to take into consideration when you are networking with people. Number 1, avoid talking so much about yourself. Give room for other people to share their stories and listen to them. Remember, we started with listening, so that was intentional. Listen to them, because everybody would like to have someone by him or by her that can be able to listen to him. So if people are meeting you and you're only talking about what you've done, what you want to do, that is saying no, you don't do that. So when you meet people, make sure you give them the opportunity to talk to you, listen to them. That is when the bond starts. That's when the rapport begins. And so after you've listened to them and they're actually taking time to share their story, you could ask them, you could compliment and really validate what they have said if it's really resonating with you and you appreciate them for what they have been doing so far. And if you could seek their permission, maybe you can tell them what you do, but be brave, okay? And if that is positive, then you can create connection and contacts with the person. So 24 hours after the networking event, you could write an email to the person, or you could reach out to the person on social media handles, and that's how you create a connection, and that's how you start a conversation. And that's where you want to go, right? And you never know where that can land you. Maybe your next big project, that is where the breakthrough is going to come out from. And so, guys, these are some 3 things I wanted to share with you in as far as soft skills for beginner speakers. So if you have not been practicing these 3 things, please, I would strongly urge you to start practicing them. Remember, I talked about 3 things. Number 1, I said you have to train yourself to listen, right? You have to train yourself to be able to listen, because as a speaker, if you cannot listen well, you always have problems with your presentations and with the people that you work with them. Number 2, I said you have to learn to read. You have to learn to read. All right, that is studying. Your ability to study, your ability to do research, your ability to go through different people's materials and assimilate and then see what you can learn from that and then bring in your own unique style on the table is game changing. Number three, I talked about your ability to network with others. You have to be able to learn how to network with others. Networking is the way to go. And if you are not able to network with others in your industry, you may be missing out a lot of opportunities out there. And if you're able to network effectively, you will grab a lot and a lot and a lot of things. So if you have not been practicing these three secrets, I strongly encourage you and urge and challenge you at the same time to start practicing these three things. And when you start practicing them, I bet you your life will never ever remain the same again. My name is Oliver Nshom, and I'm looking forward to seeing you at the top. Have a wonderful rest of the day, and bye bye.